I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next.
Yeah, I was kind of doing that. That's hiding the flag behind the technology.
Welcome out in Westport Cable Land to the June 20th meeting of the Landing Commission. My name is Jeff Bull. On my right is Commissioner,
Brian Pontalillo.
and my left is Commissioner and Treasurer Extraordinaire,
Susan Brayton.
and Jim Hartnett's in the peanut gallery. Anyhow, this is our June 20th meeting of the Landing Commission, and we're going to get right to it. Number one on the agenda this weekend, I believe it's this weekend, we've got World River Day coming up. We've already approved that. I am assuming that Warwa is going to take good care of it the way they normally do. What is still uncertain is after River Day, where is the Machoon, the Wampanoag canoe that people may have seen photos of, going to live? And Warwa and Ross Moran are working hard on that issue and do not have any information. I have been advised that as far as mooring it, that's actually a Harbor Master Marine Services Director issue. I've spoken with him about it because we had said, why don't you put it at Emma Tripp? Warwa and others, including Ross Moran, would really like it ahead because people are more likely to see it there. My understanding is it will not be tied to the rocks on the side, it would actually be moored in the middle. So I have told the powers that be that, well, while we don't have jurisdiction, if the harbor master decides that it's okay, I would at least like it moored bow and stern in the middle so kayaks and canoes can get by. Securely moored. And I will again make that point. So it can't turn in the tide. And that I continue to be concerned about if it stays in the water and their desire is that it will stay there through the winter, who is going to be responsible if the Wampanoags from Connecticut are somehow not able to come out and take care of it once, because the kayak shop has said that they'll keep an eye on it and maybe they'll bail it should it need bailing. So I am still concerned that, as was the Marine Services Director, that after this winter, if it stays in the water there, or after this fall, if they decide, why don't we just put it up where we thought on the peninsula, because really, is anyone ever going to use it? Because the Marine Services Director said, what's the long-term plan? Where is it going next spring? Who is ever going to paddle it or be taught to use it? Or is it just going to float forever? And I have asked those questions in writing to a few different people, and they have not been able to come up with answers. I have been very point blank and said, what local organization is going to take responsibility for it should there not be active use for it next spring? And I've been about as blunt as I can be. And you know, folks at home, I can be pretty blunt. And I would like some answers, even though on some level, we don't have a say about it.
Right.
But, so that's uncertain. It's obviously going to be there for the weekend. I wouldn't be surprised if it's anchored in the river for some period of time, because I will ask them not to tie it to the wall. I am concerned about kids saying, well, this looks like fun, jumping in, it rolling, and then if it happens to roll toward the stone wall, bonk. So we have a public safety issue. So I'm going to ask them, got to, for the moment, anchor it in the middle somehow. Does anyone have any particular comments about the Mashun or River Day?
No.
Well, I encourage the public to go to River Day. It sounds like there'll be some good Wampanoag kinds of things going on. I also don't know, and I apologize for this, whether they still expect to put up tents in the parking lot, because that was gonna be part of cooking and crafts, and whether they can do all of that on the grass now. It's still blocked off the parking lot. But I guess we had said okay to that before, so that may still happen. So the public should know that it may be trickier to park there if they're thinking about getting on the river. Number 2, about the head landing, the railing thing is approved, and he's working on it.
Very good.
We don't have any estimated time of arrival, whether it'll be this year or not. The yoga people have a key, so they can use it on Wednesday evenings, and it doesn't seem like the watershed has been organized about opening it during the week and closing it at night, so I'm gonna press them again, and we will again try that experiment, and as long as it doesn't become a problem for the neighborhood of whether it might go on in an unpleasant way at night.
Mm.
I think, is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Just stay the
Yeah.
course. I mean, it just seems like, as an old man, I appreciate having public bathrooms around.
Second that.
Yeah. And I think that it worked last year, so let's see how it
Yeah.
goes.
I mean, interestingly, they never locked the one down at Westport Point
Mm.
at the harbor master's office,
Mm.
which is surprising to me. Hicksbridge Landing, I've spoken with Jim Hartnett and people from the planning department, the new planner and his assistant planner, who both seem like knowledgeable people. They're gonna take over the paperwork administration of how do you build the state, and sort of some of the interface work with the engineering company, since that's what they do. Jim encouraged us to have a meeting soon with them. I said that I would like as many members of the Landing Commission that can come, that were involved in the process, and he said, well, okay. I said, this should not be just me. And so that would be an initial meeting with the engineering company with their initial plan. One of the things I was surprised by, and Wendy was surprised by, was how few trailer spaces there ended up being, and how many car parking spaces there were. My understanding, speaking with them, is that's because we put a relatively high limit on the length of a boat that could be put in there. So then that dictates a long trailer.
Mm.
So if it's rare that somebody puts a, whatever we said, 26-foot boat in there, I think that we should reconsider, and because most of the boats are probably 14 to 22 feet, and say 22 feet, how many more parking places does that get? And so on the occasion that somebody comes along with a big boat, okay, it'll be a little awkward, it won't be perfect, but somehow they'll, I mean, it's been working that way for 50 years, somehow they'll figure it out. That's my sense of one thing to propose to them, to get more spaces in there.
Mm.
The other thing was that it is time for me, and if anyone would like to come with me, to meet again with leadership at the Masons and ask them what sort of easement they would like for the town using their property. Do they want us to have an easement? Do they want us to purchase the land from them? And then what do they want for that? So if anyone wants to go,
I'd be happy to come.
Okay. I want this to be, and I am probably gonna speak with some people who are not as actively involved, who know those, who are Masons, before the meeting, and I will tie you into that meeting also, unless you wanna go meet with the Masons.
I know a lot of them, but no, I'm good.
Okay. All right.
Jeff, just to circle back on the trailer issue again. And I really don't know the answer to this question,
Mhm.
but I wonder what the significant difference is in length between a 22-foot trailer and a 26-foot trailer. And the
Mhm.
reason I ask that is I recently got a new 22-foot boat and I got a trailer with it. I never had a trailer for my 26,
Mhm.
but this trailer looks like it would have accommodated my 26.
Mhm.
And I don't know the answer to that. By downsizing our maximum size, we may not be accomplishing anything, but somebody needs to tell us that, I think.
Right, and I don't think we necessarily have to post what the maximum size is. I think it's just a matter of how he draws the lines. It turns out, oddly enough, that if you draw 16-foot parking lines, the vehicle is supposed to be within those.
Mhm.
So like, technically, a stretched limo shouldn't park there. If you draw 30-foot lines, a 30-foot limo can park there, because we're running into this a little bit with how they're gonna stripe the point.
Hmm.
I
Now,
was gonna say, you run into that even when you go out in public and somebody has a full bed pickup truck with an extra cab and so forth.
Right.
They're not within the lines, they take up 1.5 spaces.
right.
Right.
So, my sense is that in Westport, we don't necessarily pay strong attention to all of that as far as enforcement. So if by having them draw the lines differently, we can get more boats in, that seems like a good thing. Even though it'll be more snug at moments. Is that enough on that? And certainly we'll talk to the engineering company about that and see what they have to say.
Yeah, okay.
The other thing that somebody could do you know how to go back in history and look at all the photographs that have been taken by Google? Google has this cool thing that some people might want to know in general. A lot more photographs are taken all the time of all kinds of properties. And so you can go and look at the history. And so what I may do if I have extra time at some point is go look at the history and see if I can find a really busy day and see how the trailers
Does it
were parked
park?
and did people survive that really busy day. Yeah, because there's a lot more aerial photography going on that is then posted than just shows up when you click on Google Aerial
Google
View.
Maps.
You made an interesting point, though. What if the trailer's being pulled by a truck that has the extra long cab?
Yeah,
It-
you know,
The
it's,
trailer
you can't
doesn't
predict,
matter at that point.
right, it's, you can't predict these things.
Yeah. And
You know, and somebody else will have a small little car and some people even use the kayak trailers,
right.
you know.
Yeah, and I would think though that hopefully if somebody's local and has a big trailer, for one, I would think they're not doing it on every weekend. They
No.
do it once a year and then the trail goes away for the summer. I would think, maybe not, but I would think that they'd be smart enough when they do it to realize, okay, I gotta go way up there and be out of people's way.
Mm.
When I got that big tree out of the river, I noticed, as had been reported to me, that there's about a scum and mud buildup on the bricks at the slipway at the head. I tried scraping it off. It goes off pretty easy. Carl Tripp said he has his guys blow it off with a power washer. So I am going to ask the highway department if they will do that. I thought I was going to do it. I have the scraper in my car. I scraped a little bit off. It wasn't low enough tide. It probably only takes 10 minutes. The power washing takes longer. I don't have a power washer, but I don't know anyone who we could easily hire to do that if the highway department is too busy. And part of the issue is being there at low tide, which unless people have some idea, I guess there are people that advertise power washing, right? You just hire one of them.
Mm.
Duh. Okay. Power wash.
The question is, do they need electric?
There's gas power wash.
They use the gas power washers?
Mhm.
Okay.
Or they can plug in at Morwa or something. I think Morwa has outside electric. Okay. Point Landing, it may be striped by now. Oh, actually, probably, we had a striping meeting, and the safety officer wanted us to go back one more time to the engineering company and have them draw the stripes. So it will be striped soon. I was encouraging them to do it quickly. He said, well, it's got to be right. And I said, yeah, but what's going on now is dangerous. So the sooner it happens, the better. And the highway department wants it to happen quickly. Also, as soon as it is striped, we'll find out how many places they gave us along the northern boundary, and I will order wheel stops for that so that they don't.
Go into the little ditch.
Well, actually, you can drive right over the ditch and you don't go into it.
Okay,
Yeah, but then suddenly you're using that right of way and
yeah.
it gets messy. So wheel stops, and I'll just purchase them for whatever they cost. There's a wheel stop cement guy in Westport.
Okay.
So that's relatively easy. While at the Point Landing on the striping meeting, I asked Officer Kudo about the idea of changing the parking regulation and our interest in having a picnic bench at Hicks Bridge. He said that he'd run it up the flagpole a bunch of times and wanted to know why the rocks were there, and so they've been there for 30 or 40 years maybe. I don't know, but can't we make a decision based on the current day? He said, well, I'd like to look into it. At this point, I would like to, and I just spoke with Jim Hartnett, get it officially on the select board's agenda and just ask them, because maybe if they push the police department, or maybe Steve Ouellette, who was on the police department way back then, may
Yeah,
may
maybe
know.
he'll know.
And there may be a good reason not to. I know some concern as well, it's gonna be, there will be problems, it's gonna be more work for the town. And I was like, yeah, but any park is some amount of work. It's a public resource, we're spending money on it. So what if you have to write a few more parking tickets? And there's a public opinion that people don't pay parking tickets, that we don't get the revenue. Ms. Hartnett said, oh, no, we get the
No,
revenue.
we do.
And it's a lot of revenue. I know the Disability Commission, they get like $6,000 or $8,000 a year in revenue for the handicap spots.
Yes.
So anyhow, I would like to, if that's okay with you folks, just put it on their agenda
Yeah.
and move it along. Otherwise, it seems like it'll never happen. I haven't come up with any monitor from Adamsville Landing until it occurred to me that there's a fellow in Westport named Greg Stone, who's a known photographer who posts photos taken from the morning in Adamsville Landing regularly on the internet, along with other photographs. And he seems like a good guy. What do we think about deputizing him to just say, hey, if you ever notice anything strange, email me.
Mm. See if he'll, yeah.
You do it.
Yeah, he might. I mean, because he cares about what's going on there, because he uses it a lot. He seems like a responsible guy who would notice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give him a call.
Similarly, Emma Trip, I drive by there weekly, so I can probably be the monitor there. And I apologize, I have not called the sign people. I will write myself another note. Do people have any other opinions about Adamsville or Emma Trip landings?
No.
No? Okay. As always, I tell the public that many of us are advancing in age. So if someone's interested in what goes on in public parks and town landings in town, come to a meeting, think about becoming a landing commissioner next year. There'll probably be an open spot. Past minutes, our secretary is in Maine having a good time, I hope, with her husband, so we're not doing that. Is there any other business not anticipated?
None here.
As far as scheduling a next meeting date, I would like to suggest that, given that we're gonna try to schedule a date with the engineering company soon, that we hold off on the next meeting date until I find out when that's scheduled. And then I will notify folks after polling to make sure that you and Wendy, et cetera, can be at that other meeting. Does that sound
Yeah.
okay?
We'd have more information, and also maybe more information from the Masons.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's because it's summer. I know in past, we didn't even necessarily meet every month because there wasn't that much to talk about. All right. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to terminate this meeting. All in favor?
Aye.